Hi Gemini, welcome to June 2020 and welcome to your season. Happy birthday to Gemini Sun and to all of you a very happy start of a new season. In our season Gemini, we put the seeds of what's about to come in the next 12 months, but this is a very special season for you because we have North Node or Rahu in your sign for the first time in 19 years. When Rahu comes in our sign, it's the time to walk our destiny. It's the time when sudden, fated shifts come about in our life that bring us closer to our life path. It's the time when accelerated changes happen in our life related to our physical external identity. It's the time when new opportunities, new skill set, new doors are open and we are encouraged to grow at an accelerated pace. And that is what you would be doing, in my view, in the month of June when we have both your season and Mars, the planet of courage and drive, in your house of career. The balance of you versus your partnerships and relationships will also come into big focus. We have an eclipse happening in your house of relationships, partnerships, contracts, commitment on 5th of June, which will have an impact on you over the course of next 6 months. We will only have activation of that eclipse happening in March of 2021. That means that what will come to focus as a part of this eclipse right now in June will take some time for closure and completion. It will not be immediate in nature, in my view. But there will be a lot of information that will come to focus when it comes to your partnerships, when it comes to your relationships, when it comes to your one on one relationships with your close partners, with your spouse, with your partner, with your business partner, your commitment to the work that you are involved in. Some contract or relationship will come into focus as a part of that eclipse. North Node now Gemini is in your sign, and that's the time when we become curious about the world, when we explore multiple life paths. North Node is not like tomorrow you decide this is my job and that's going to become your destiny. It comes through a little bit of trial and error. So the 18 months that North Node will be in your sign, that's the time when you'll be exploring multiple options on what you truly want to do in terms of your life path. And this month would be very critical as a starting point in it. Venus is right now in your sign retrograde as well till 25th of June. When Venus is retrograde in our sign, which is again a very rare transit to happen, it happens once in 8 or 9 years. Last time Venus was in your sign retrograde in May or June of 2012. When this happens, we discover what we truly love to do. The self love is enhanced. We are told to sort of wake up the love for life to some extent, and also at the same time the love for ourselves, who we want to be, how we want to look, how do we want to dress up, how do we want to look externally and come across to other people. That comes into focus when Venus is here. We explore multiple ways of expressing ourselves. We re-evaluate, is our external reality same as what our internal outlook on life is? Do we dress up the way we want to? Do we look the way we want to? Do we speak up what we want out of other people? Do we love what we are doing? We re-evaluate what we do and how we present ourselves, and whether we are taking care of our body or not, that comes into focus. Our self-love and self-esteem comes into big focus when Venus is here. We are required to value ourselves, as well as we want to feel more alive, more capable of making things happen when Venus is here. We want to generate ideas, talk about it. There's a sense of inner potency that is woken up over here that makes us feel more beautiful inside out. When Venus is in your sign, it's the time to definitely learn how to communicate more effectively in our relationships. Communication in our personal and our professional relationships come into focus because you are a zodiac sign which rules communication. Venus in your sign is all about love for knowledge and love for talk. It's about learning how to say the things that you need to say in your partnerships and relationships, and not compromising your own interests to some extent in the process of doing that. You will rethink your external image completely during this time. What you need to do to enhance your personal image. What do you want? How do you want to look? What part of your personality you want to show? The new you is in making, and you'll be in the process of doing that. You'll be sort of looking for a different version of you that you want to show to the world, and you might be polishing that up to some extent. How do you want to benefit even from the way you come across to other people? You might be sort of fine tuning your external image, your talk, your messaging, your marketing, your value system, how you value yourself, and what value you attach to your own skill set. That might be undergoing a process of renewal at this time, because this is a new phase starting, and it must be very evident to you with North Node moving over here, and it will become even more evident with its activation through the first eclipse that is happening around the nodes on 5th of June. This is an eclipse which is a baby eclipse. It's the first eclipse. It's the first sensation of realizing that life is not going to be the same. When we have eclipses in our sign, first time in 19 years, it's the time when we are woken up to a different way of being. And right now, the eclipse is only happening in your house of partnerships, not in your sign. The eclipse in your sign will happen on 30th of November 2020. The first series of eclipse that's happening is happening in your partnership sector. So the first process of change that will come about in your partnerships, in your contracts, and who you connect with, and how do you connect with your partners, with your relationships, and how do you handle critics and difficult situations when it comes to your partners in your work as well. There could be a partnership or a contract which will come into focus during this eclipse. Eclipse like this one comes with a little bit of crisis or tension, even because this is an eclipse which is coming with a T square. I spoke about that in detail in the lunar eclipse video as well. This is an eclipse which is coming with Mars. Mars is about warfare with others. It's about no compromise. It's about zest. It's about challenge of combat to some extent. There could be a little bit of combative situation, which can be exciting, which can be healthy competition. It could be a healthy fight even with somebody. That could come up with this eclipse. As your partnership or a contract or a relationship comes into focus, which will be very fated in nature. It could be a contract that is coming for completion. It could be a relationship that is reaching its finishing point to some extent. It could be a sort of a relationship that needs to go to the next level, and this fight or this combative energy, this drive, this facing up to a situation which we might have been avoiding for some time. There could be a conversation that we have been avoiding to have to for some time that can come up in the first 10 days of June. You'll find that simmering already and in the process of making already, because this is just bringing up the anger or a conflict or a dispute that is there below the surface to open. It will sort of reveal itself fully around 5th or 6th of June in my view. You might even experience that on 2nd of June when we have Venus making a square with Mars. It's the time to speak up what you truly want in a relationship, because your balance between your interest versus the interest of your partner or of your contract or of the others in your life will come into focus with this. And the road to success when North Node is in our sign is to put yourself first to some extent. It might sound selfish, it might sound to some extent flippant, but that's what it is. When we have North Node in our sign for the first time in 19 years, it's the time to release certain way of being in a relationship, even the burden of a relationship or a contract which is karmic in nature. That happens as a part of this North Node transit. We have to release if you have been giving in too much when it comes to a partnership, when it comes to a contract, even if you have been giving in too much of your self interest to some extent, that will come into focus because the focus is on you. It's the time to prioritize yourself physically, emotionally, career wise, in a partnership, in a relationship, whether it's a business relationship or a personal relationship. It's the time to make yourself a priority over here. It's your time. It's the time to become independent. It's the time to go solo. It's the time to have more belief created in your capacity to survive independently without support from other people to some extent. You will be cultivating your own talents here. You'll be developing confidence in your own independent nature. You will be going solo. Even if you are in your own job, instead of having your own business, you will still be going solo without support from others. It's the time when we do not fall back on our partnership and relationship in terms of dependency for material growth. They can be very much the part of our spiritual growth. They will continue to be the part of your spiritual growth. And the last 1 year, when we had Jupiter in your house of partnerships, your partnerships and your relationships or the contracts might have been your source of expansion to some extent. They might have given you an expansive look of life. They might have expanded your outlook on life. But now is the time to sort of fly with your own wings, to release the old way of being. You have to come first. It's the time to appreciate yourself first and not repeat certain old patterns of relationships which might have been holding your own independence, your own talents back. This is the time when certain relationship patterns or career patterns that block your growth can come into focus, and they could come into focus through some amount of conflict even at this stage. There is a T square with your partnerships and contracts as well as your career ambitions that is coming to focus over here. So if your personal freedom is coming in the way of your career goals, that will come into focus. If your personal life is coming in the way of your career goals, that will come into life as well, into light as well. What you think you deserve and what you're being given, that will come into focus as well over here. And you will want to be recognized for your own personal power. You want to act on your goals. There is an intensity, an ambition embedded in your actions right now. Mars is in your house of career. That happens once in 2 years. We're given a lot of zest and energy to put all of it in our career right now. And you have an idealistic vision of where you want to go in your career. Neptune is in your house of career. It wants you to have an idealistic vision of what's possible for you. Neptune is media. Neptune is dreams. Neptune is idealistic vision of life. It is fog. It is walking on clouds to some extent. It helps us break from our mundane existence, our current existence, to see that something bigger than life is possible for us. It shows us a dream. And Neptune in your house of career attracts you to an idealistic career to some extent, even a public career. JFK and Karl Marx had this. It represents glamour, it represents media, it represents being on a screen, it represents being in front of people, being loved, adored, even admired by people at a larger scale. You want to dissolve the old path when Neptune comes here. Neptune wants to sort of move you to a different way of being when it comes to your career. It is dissolving certain fake career paths or fake way of being in career. It will not stand to some extent. If something is not real in your career, something is not real in the way you're running your external title, it will help release that lovingly. Neptune is standing still in the month of June, so it's very, very strong. It will push you to some extent to dissolve something that is not real. But at the same time, as I said, Neptune is walk on cloud. It does not see limitations. It does not see the entire picture. When Neptune is stationary, we don't have full information. We don't have full clarity. So, as I mentioned in the lunar eclipse video, June is not the month to take dramatic actions. It's a very good time to look at both sides, analyze things, and know what needs to be retained, what needs to be released, what partnership you want to be in, what way of being in a career you need to be. But dramatic actions you might want to avoid in the month of June, because it may not be the time to take drastic action, because the whole facts, you don't have full information essentially when Neptune is here. But Neptune represents a very, very different way of being. It dissolves our old value system at job and creates the need to be in a part of something bigger than just a mundane job. It wants you to have a life path that is more like a purpose of life. It is, your work needs to have a purpose. It needs to express your individuality, your true self to the world. It is your purpose. It's what makes you feel good. Your work has to make you feel good about yourself. It has to be something that is helpful to others in some way. It brings out your creativity. It recognizes the larger than life personality that sits within you. It has to open that up in some way. It could be social, it could be spiritual, it could be a career which is in film and creative field, or something that is on the screen visible to people. There's a path of spiritual growth that comes through your work. Your work has to be a fuller expression of yourself. So, Neptune will help you dissolve if that is not part of your career. It will dissolve certain parts of your career, certain part of your career goals that are not real to some extent. But in this month, with Mars meeting Neptune on 13th of June, you'll feel like you're just making it happen. You will have so much zest to make something out of reach even possible at this stage. Mars and Neptune together, they want to make the dreams come true. They're working on a dream to be true. So you'll find yourself connecting with people, breaking out of a shell, sort of through a conflict or even a ego challenge, like you're challenged to some extent, and you just break out of that mold of holding yourself back to some extent. There's a drive to achieve. You are going to overcome some emotional blockage that has been stopping you from speaking your truth, from asking for your true value. You'll gain acceptance for your uniqueness by being sure in your skin about who you are as a person. So sometimes we are scared about how we will be labeled by others because we don't fit in those labels, because society labels don't define us anymore. This aspect gives us that I don't care outlook to some extent. I'm going to be who I am. And you go with that, owning your uniqueness, owning your own personal label, and then people just take you for who you are, that kind of a thing. It's where you learn to handle criticism, even if that criticism was within your mind, even you learn to deal with adversaries, with critics, with partners as you go with this. This is where you got to take certain bold things, bold actions in your career to some extent, but this is not about cutting cords. This is not about burning bridges. You have to be a little bit careful about that you will not have full information. When Sun and Neptune are together on 11th of June, there might be some information that you did not see before that might come to light, and that needs to fully come to light going forward. You would need to recognize certain limitations, but it doesn't mean that you should not aim for something idealistic, but that needs to be recognized to be handled in a different way. It could even be financial aspect of what you're doing that may not be clear right now, and Mercury is going to go retrograde between 18th of June to 12th of July, when the financial aspect of what you're doing will come for revision. It will come for review if you're getting what you truly deserve in this idealistic career that you're aiming for. There could be a conflict with your partner as well, which can a personal conflict that can come to focus in the first 10 days of the month, especially around 2nd or 3rd of June or 6th of June, because there is a pattern of partnership that needs to be sort of revealed and opened and discussed at this time. This is A T square usually represent a fight that needs to be had, but we are avoiding it, we're ducking it to some extent, and then we're sort of put in a corner where it has to be, that talk has to be had. And you'll find yourself doing that, in my view, during this eclipse around 6th of June to some extent. And to be successful in your career to some extent, that issue in your partnerships, in your relationship, and it could be with your mother or father, it could be with your partner, it could be with in a one-on-one relationship, or it could be with your business partner even. You need to have that discussion and have that out in the open. The success with which you handle this issue, this partnership, this critic, this adversary is going to be directly proportional to how you get paid to some extent, or how much you gain out of the situation. How much do you gain out of the shift in your career that is coming? And sort of this imbalance of give and take in a partnership, if it exists, it will come into focus if you have been giving in too much and compromising yourself too much, because Rahu is charging you up from within. It's like a driving force within you. It's saying you got to get your true worth. And when that happens, if something is not serving us well over here, especially in our relationship patterns, in a partnership, in a contract, you would have the drive to bring that to open. And sort of even if a relationship has reached some amount of maturity here, maybe that relationship has reached a threshold to some extent, you will be re-evaluating whether you need to release that. And as I said, this is not going to be a sudden shift in that. This is activation of this is in March of 2021, in my view. So there could be a discord that comes over here. It could be in a personal relationship, it could be in a professional relationship, it could be a contract, and it might take some time for you to make that change. It might take some time to either resolve it or release it to some extent. South Node is here. There is something that needs to be released for you to move to the next level of commitment, to move to the next level in your contract to some extent. For the contract to be gainful, even, something needs to be observed and released over here. And this could also be a change in your partner's life. This is the house of partner's life as well. So it is possible that some travel related matter, education related matter, some relocation related matter, certain belief system related matter could come into focus in the life of your partner, and that needs handling. It's something that could be fated. It could come up and it needs to be handled. It is possible that maybe a relocation might be needed to some extent. It will feel a little bit like a crisis, but there's an opportunity that will be hiding in that crisis to some extent, because once you have faced that conflict, and sort of this healthy drive and competition which it's bringing up, what comes out of it is authentic growth. What comes out of it is long-term growth. This is 18 months which has your name written all over it. So in order for you to pursue that, something needs to be truly said. This is happening around 15 degree of Sagittarius. So if you have planets around 15 degree of Gemini, you'll feel that very, very strongly, which is around 5th of June born. If you're around 5th of June born, it could be like some contract is coming up for its decision at this time. Some relationship is coming for its decision. Something in your spouse's life is coming for a decision. This is a partnership or a relationship or a foreign contract or a campaign for your job in which you have to interact with people on a one-on-one basis. This is international connection. This is expansive connection. This is expansion which shows you what is your purpose in life. This is going to be an important moment, an important decision point for you. But the decision requires you to look at both sides of the equation, and it requires more clarity, which will, in my view, come fully only by second half of July. So that would be my suggestion. Good luck for that, Gemini. We will have another eclipse. We have 3 eclipses this season. We will have another eclipse on 21st of June and then another one on 5th of July. These 2 eclipses come in a pair, and these are the last set of eclipses that are happening in your house of finances and independent earnings. We're going to talk about that in another video, but essentially a new source of income is about to begin with the shift that you're doing right now, and that will require some amount of adjustment in the contract, possibly of the money contract, essentially, or your skill set. Might be there could be a new skill set by which you will be earning money, and that will go through a review period with the retrograde in Mercury that's happening in the same area of your life. It's going to be a very long video if we cover that over here. I'll cover the 2 eclipses, the 21st of June and the 5th July eclipse, in a separate video. But know that finances will be a key focus after 20th or 21st of June for you. Review of that, reviewing how you'll earn out of the new way of being in your career, the contract, possibly what is the remittance out of that, what is the remuneration out of the contract of your existing or the new contracts. That will come into focus. Your assets, your skill sets will come into focus, whether you have the right skill set required for you to do your job or not, whether the job is in line with your value system or not, whether it takes care of your needs, of your security or not. All of that will come into focus in the second half of the month, starting from 21st of June. As I mentioned, that will come up with new set of information for you. That's why decision making requires a little bit of delay to second half of July, in my perspective. Good luck for this, Gemini. This is your season. Happy birthday again to Gemini Sun, and to all of you, have a great start of a new life ahead. Thank you.